President of eXp Canada.
Well, today we're going to have our Legends panel. These guys have been in real estate longer than you have been alive. Oh my gosh, did I just say that? I'm sorry. So first off, I'm going to introduce one of our biggest mentors. He's been in real estate 34 years. It is none other than Rod Stewart. All right, next up we call him Johnny Love because he comes from the heart. And whenever I see him in the gym, whenever I see him at Cactus Club, he'll want to give me a hug and tell me he loves me very much. Every single time. Every single time. Did we kiss yet? Yes. Johnny Love! Johnny, Dr. Charlie. Wow. Oh, there you go. It's always awkward when you're trying to go with a handshake and it's like... All right, last but not least, Miss Natasha Coach, our partner here at eXp Realty, has been in the business now over 20 years, and what a story, I can't wait to hear it. Natasha Coach, come on up. All right, please have a seat. So we'll get right to it, guys. We'll start with Johnny. How did you get into real estate, sir?
How I got into real estate was interesting. I was selling cell phones and pagers at the time. I was only 20 years old, and I wasn't making that much money. I was commission-based, and I just wanted a little bit more out of life than just selling cell phones and pagers. I couldn't see myself doing that for the rest of my life. So I decided I wanted to go and take the real estate course. Didn't get much help here from my mom and dad. Didn't get much, enthusiasm from them. So like, do you even own a home? Do you even know anything about a home? How are you even supposed to sell them for that matter, right? But I was 21 years old, I took the real estate exam, failed it the first time. For those of you that are going there to take it and don't give up, I failed it the first time. Second time I passed with a 96%. And I still remember that I just wanted to pass and sell homes. I saw myself doing that, and it's been over 25 years since.
25 years, guys, wow. And I guess my next question is, just while we're talking to you, at 21 years old, a lot of us here are a little bit younger. What's your advice on overcoming that objection? You're too young. You don't look like you're capable. What would you say to that?
I heard it all. I heard, you're too young, maybe you should do something else for that matter. At a very young age, I understood about faith. At a very young age, I understood that if you visualize something, there isn't anyone that's going to stop you from achieving that. And I didn't have a lot of fans in my corner at that time, at 21 years old. I had a lot of things up against me. However, I believed and I had faith that I was going to do this. And I was going to not only do it, but enjoy doing it. And that was the difference, right? So just believe in with what you're doing. Believe with it with full heart, with your heart, and you will succeed. I promise you that.
Believe in yourself. Thank you, John.
100%.
Thank you. Phil, so how did you get your start?
So on my 19th birthday, I was sworn in as a Vancouver police officer. I policed from 1981 to 1989. In '86, I went undercover during Expo, and there was no real crime in Expo, so I kind of wandered the city doing a vice arrest, a drug arrest, an impaired arrest, 2-3 arrests a day. In '87, all of that went to court. In '88, there I was in the front page of the Vancouver Sun, me and my partner, because we actually made more money than the chief of police. And taxpayers don't really like that. And so we got called into the chief's office, and the chief said, you're making people's misfortune your fortune. If it's all about money, you two guys should go into real estate. So there I was 26, 27. I had been a police officer for 8 years. And the chief, Bob Stewart, told me to go into real estate. So here I am.
After 34 years. And if you don't know Phil, you can Google images of him posing as a bodybuilder. Right?
Policemen have a lot of spare time on their hands. So yeah, we spent a lot of time in the weight room. Back then you couldn't have a second job, so you couldn't be a police officer and a real estate agent. You couldn't be a real estate agent and have another job. Now, of course, that's all changed.
I was a hairdresser, actually, so I had no idea about real estate. And one day I was on my way to drop my son off at at a soccer game and I slipped and fell, and I was in bed actually with a broken leg watching HGTV. So actually I thought, I can do that. I'm good with people. I am a great hairdresser, so I thought, well, real estate can't be any different.
Johnny, what about you? What's your best source?
Well, interesting enough, I know that you don't know this, but since I've come over to eXp Realty a few months ago, for the first time in my career, I hired a coach, right? I hired a coach because of you, John. And yeah, and so me and my wife, Veronica here, we hired a coach, and he was asking the exact same question. He goes, I want you to get 10 contacts or 10 leads a day. 10 leads, 10 real estate leads a day. And I said, well, like 10 phone calls? He goes, I don't care how you do it, just 10 leads a day. I said, okay, so what do you want me to do different? I thought to myself. I walk into my gym every day, and they nickname me the mayor, because I know everyone in there. You know, I'm having conversations there. I belong to 3 different nonprofit organizations. Everybody knows I'm a realtor there. And I just live my life, telling people, yeah, I'm in real estate, I'm a realtor. And he goes, that's it, that's all you gotta do. And I said, so what I have to do is just live my life? He goes, yeah, just talk about your real estate, talk about your, you know, your life for that matter. It doesn't matter with what I'm doing. Real estate, people actually want to come and talk to me about real estate no matter what, whether it be in the gym, whether it be at church, whether it be at the boys club. Anywhere I go, they come up to me and they talk to me about real estate. From there, I don't know, years later, I'm still in the top 10%. I mean, I'm very grateful for that. But the thing is, I don't think I'm doing anything really special. I'm just being me.
Just being me. I think success does not come from what you do. It's about who you're being at the end of the day.
Yes.
Why do they call you Johnny Love?
He loves everybody.
I'm grateful here today that I'm a recovered alcoholic. And 11 years ago last month, I hit rock bottom. I lost everything. My family, you know, financially and spiritually. And I could honestly tell you when I looked at you, I didn't like you because I didn't like myself, right? And I thought real estate was the one thing that was turning me into this person because I kept comparing myself to everybody. I kept comparing myself to the people like Phil Moore's, you know, they're doing better than me in real estate. And the only thing that numbed that pain for me was the bottle. And I can talk about this today, you know, because by the grace of God, I got 11 years of sobriety. You know. But in my journey of sobriety, I started walking a certain path with where I started thinking of other people more than I started thinking about myself. And as the days turned into months and the months turned into years, I noticed myself looking at people differently. I didn't care what kind of car they drove. I didn't care about how much money they made. What I didn't care about was what was in their heart. And every time I would go to an AA meeting and I would leave, I would always tell everybody, hey, you matter. I love you, man. I love you. And in my 11 years, I've had people pass away on me, unfortunately, instantly. Friends of mine that I'm going out for dinner with one night, and then I find out that they relapsed and died. But I know my last words, what they were to them. And that means I love you. Because every time I leave a conversation, every time I leave a person that matters to me, that's with what I want to remember that I tell them, that I love you.
We love you, brother. So Phil, can you talk that, share?
No, you know, I was in Las Vegas and we were in a speaking contest, and in order to get to the final, you had to get out of your group. He was in my group, I just gave up.
I don't blame you, I don't blame you. So I know, Phil, I see this man here, 4:55 in the morning, he's at the gym. One of the first cars in the parking lot. And he runs 5K on the treadmill every single day. He's 60 years old. Sorry, I had to say it. But the man is super inspiring, and he doesn't see the real estate game as a grind. He talks about passion. How do you think your passion has contributed to your longevity, 34 years in real estate?
You know, there's really 5 secrets to success. Number 1 is to be adventurous. Our mind wants one thing, it wants experiences. Number 2, love your family, love your friends. Number 3, always be learning and growing. And John's busted me so many times on the treadmill and I'm reading. Like, I'm always learning.
He's reading the MLS at 6 o'clock in the morning. Who does that?
It's about knowing your product. Number 4 is find a purpose. My purpose, I look at my purpose as being service to others. And that's what I do when I sell real estate. So it's not about the money, it's not about the commission. It's about being of service, how I can help these people. And then finally, do everything you do with passion, or don't do it.
Do it with passion, do it 100%, or don't do it at all. Thank you, and I'm just inspired by you every single morning. Thank you for being our mentor, Phil. Thank you. So, Natasha, tell us about the journey. You know, that was a tough beginning. 17 years old with 2 kids, single mother, and made it to today. Tell us about that.
So, well, I was pregnant actually at 17, had my first child at 18. I left Toronto, where I was born and raised, actually, to make my stake in life. And it was a very difficult journey. Actually, I left an abusive relationship at the time and was starting pretty much on my own. So I was growing up as I was learning things the hard way. So it was definitely a hard journey. So I think that how that's benefited me is I definitely have endurance and I don't give up. So I think that if I can offer anything to anybody out there, these kind of events, you know, will keep you going in those moments where you do feel like you might want to give up.
Absolutely. Never, ever, ever give up. Thank you for sharing that. And so, Johnny, if there's one piece of advice that you would give young realtors to become successful this year, what would it be?
I'm going to give you guys a piece of advice, and hopefully you guys continue to use this throughout your journey in real estate. And that's the golden rule. Treat others as you'd want to be treated. The golden rule, follow it.
You should be in Goodfellas. Some of y'all are too young for that movie, but thank you, Johnny. Treat others.
Treat others as you want to be treated, you know. I've been so blessed for so many things, including the obstacles I live today, right? I have an amazing wife, 22 years, you know, who's here today. I've got an amazing career. You know, I've got 2 beautiful, amazing children, and today I have an amazing life, right? So that's all by God's grace. Yeah.
Thank you, Johnny. Thank you for your contribution. Phil, what would it be?
So I'm a national director and the guy steals the line out of the Realtor Code of Ethics. Jeez. Now what do I got left? So I'm gonna give you guys something from the 4 Agreements. If you haven't read the book called The 4 Agreements, pick it up and read it. Advice for a young person: don't take anything personally. You're not going to get all of the listings. You're going to get clients. You're going to lose clients. But guess what? You're going to get them back. You're here for the long game. Don't let any of those things upset you. I've lost clients and I've gained them back. I never give up. I never get upset. I never phone someone and say, why didn't you list with me? Like, what did I do wrong? You know, if you really want to know, phone the agent that got the listing, because he probably has some insight. But I never take anything personally. Listen, we're going to be in here, you're going to be here for 30, 33 years, 34 years, 40 years. Just stay focused and stay positive, and don't burn any bridges.
What goes around comes around, guys. Thank you, Phil. Thank you. All right, Natasha, what would it be? One piece of advice.
I would say that my biggest piece of advice is that this is a business. So you're not just selling real estate, you're actually creating a business. And you get to decide what that business looks like for you. It doesn't matter who in the room is doing more deals or less deals. You get to decide how you want your business to look. And so make it yours and do it well.
This is the business. Thank you so much, guys. It's been incredible. Just hanging around with you guys. Really inspired every single day by what you do. Keep being you. Thank you all. So last but not least, the moment you've been waiting for, the man himself, the CEO and founder of eXp Realty, Mr. Glenn Sanford. Just inspired by you, Glenn. The most humble man in the room, and he's almost a billionaire still, or still? Only half a billion now, okay. Your humility and your way of being relatable has really created 88,000 agents in this company. Tell us a bit about that.
Yeah, so I think there's humble doesn't mean not competitive. So I am competitive as hell.
Yes, you are.
So just, but the thing that I thought about this literally since I was a young entrepreneur is that it can never be about you. It has to be about the other person. I remember even having these conversations with my dad. We were talking. He ran a company out of Langley, Northern Gold Foods Country Granola. That was his company. Some of you may remember that company. But we would have conversations around human motivation and incentives and all those types of things. And the thing I learned, coming up through business is that when I focused on trying to make the most money, so to speak, it actually was the hardest way to make money. When I focused on helping other people make money, I got the income by default. So to some extent, you could think about humility as being kind of a superpower to ultimately achieve what you want to achieve, because you're not making it about you, you're making it about the other person. Still has to, I use the term has to pencil, meaning that there has to be a sort of an economic benefit in there, because that's what powers the business and allows you to scale. So you can't just ignore the fact that there's a business that you're running, but it doesn't need to be about making a bunch of money. It really is about making, in this case, making agents the wealthiest that they possibly can be in a business model. And if you can get to 87,000 plus agents and brokers, you don't need a lot to actually have a lot from a relative perspective.
Wow. Okay. So really, and I hear you talk about this a lot as well. It's focusing on what you do, how you contribute to others, and then that leads to the results that you actually want. You said something about focusing on the experience, the customer experience, the agent experience, and then the numbers will naturally come. I think that applies to all of our businesses here as well. If we focus on our customer experience, then you won't even have to ask for referrals. Tell us a little bit more about that.
So, it's the same reason why we go to particular restaurants, we stay at particular resorts, we do these different things. If you create a great experience, then people are willing to put their efforts in, they're willing to buy those products and services. So when we've got crappy service, we really don't care about the fact that we just saved a bunch of money. In fact, we'd rather pay a little more and get a quality experience than pay a little less and get a crappy experience. So experience at the end of the day is part of the virtuous flywheel, so to speak, in that, again, making it about the other person, making sure that it all works. There's a level of intentionality that comes with it as well. So I think about it as business ideals. And ideals are generally things that you actually can't fully achieve, but they're the North Stars that you iterate around, and they become the thing that you think about. So obviously, if you could create if I could put 100% of my effort into helping an agent and charge them zero, then it would work up until I collapse.
Right.
But there's these trade-offs. But if you use the North Star, then you can think about, how do I make this a little better? How do I make this a little better? How do I engage the team? How do I mentally bring all these people along the journey of creating the most, in our case, agent-centric real estate brokerage on the planet? And so that's the phrase that I use all the time, and you'll see that on press releases. And how do we do that? P&L will take care of itself as long as we got a model of pencils, but just make it all about the experience.
So centered around the experience and then building on top of that. Is that how you built eXp?
It is. I mean, we had to pick what we wanted to focus on first. So when we first, the very first focus in 2013 was to create a competitive model and to create a comp model that provided an incentive for agents to help grow the model. We didn't have a CRM like KV Core at the time. We didn't have a bunch of the tools and technologies, but that particular niche really hadn't been filled yet, meaning that there was no other company that existed that sort of created a true path to retirement for real estate agents. And as we continued to build, started to create revenue, income, and opportunities, and then we take that money and put it back in, improve the experience.
Okay, so keep on improving the experience and then the numbers will come. As we head into Q2 right now, and a lot of agents are probably thinking, what should I do? I believe that our technology makes our experience better with the company, and if we have better experience with the company, we then serve our customers better, right? So that's what I was thinking about that. But in going into Q2, what would you say real estate agents here, what do we need to do differently?
Well, it's a pretty simple business. It's about prospecting and then working with sellers, taking listings, and generating buyers. And so the business is pretty simple in terms of just the basics. The reality is that we've got now more tools coming at us all the time. I mean, right now, since December, January, everybody's talking about ChatGPT and all of this stuff. And of course, I'm getting into this mix as well. And I think there's one of the things that I think agents are fundamentally, the challenge of real estate is that there's no sacred time generally on your calendar, meaning that if a client calls, you follow up with them. The flip side of it is that because of that, sometimes it's tougher to manage your day in a way that keeps you moving forward, trying to manage disparate tasks that pop up. And so one of the things I think that's going to be really cool is the application of AI to your business. I've been playing with, anybody here use Motion, the Motion app? Anybody? So if you have,
one person.
Okay, and I saw an enthusiastic hand there.
That's your best buddy over here.
There you go. I've been looking at it, and I think it's one of the coolest apps specifically for real estate professionals.
Motion, it's called?
Motion.
Okay.
Yeah, it's called Motion. And the reason being is if you think about the old style of real estate agency, you would time block from 10 to noon to do your smiling and dialing, right? That was kind of the model that was kind of preached out there. The challenge is there's always stuff that is of high priority outside of prospecting. So the cool thing about the Motion platform is it will literally move your repetitive time blocks around your calendar based on what you've got going on. So if you've got a buyer consultation or you're going out to work on a listing, which are certainly higher priorities than making the phone calls between that 10 to noon block. If those individuals are connecting with you, it automatically moves things around. So if you're thinking about how do I time block my social media, how many of you have a hard time blocking? Anybody? Okay. So it's like a universal thing. If you're a real estate agent, you're dealing with this issue. So I think there's just be a lot of cool tools that are going to start to actually automate more and more of our day. And that's one that I thought was a pretty cool use. Google used to have in their Google Calendar app on mobile the ability to actually do these things, and then they got rid of it. And I don't know why, because it was actually a cool feature. But the Motion app kind of allows you to sort of flex these things in your calendar and then do sort of automated scheduling and things like that. So there's some really cool stuff you can do with that.
So get Motion for the second quarter, and then you'll make $1 million.
As long as you follow the calendar. You know, the first thing is to get it on your calendar. The second thing is to do what your calendar says you should do.
Absolutely. You got to go back to the basics. It's prospecting, lead follow-up, going on appointments, negotiating contracts, and closing deals. It's actually very simple. But Motion can help you schedule that, right, to become more efficient. Talking about technology, do you think we're going to be replaced by ChatGPT? All realtors?
I don't think that ChatGPT will replace us. What it will do is it'll make us way more efficient. Like I actually recommend that everybody go and download the Microsoft Edge browser and actually set up an account on there for Bing to actually start to use ChatGPT in the browser. It actually will simplify a lot of your stuff. So it's actually better than going to ChatGPT, so the Microsoft version, because what it will do is it'll answer plus link to relevant content when it answers a question for you. So if you're looking for what are the best lead generation strategies for real estate professionals, you could actually put that in there, and it will actually list it with the relevant links from the text based on sort of the feedback. So I think that it could make us a lot more efficient. GPT-4 is definitely going to help if you can get access to that, but you have to have a knowledge base in order to build that. What I think will end up happening is in probably another iteration or two, you're going to be able to have a conversation with your AI, GPT-5, GPT-6, and it will actually start to do a lot of the things that you currently have to actually type in. So it could be, hey, add to my, I just met Denise Mai. She's a first-time home buyer, and I like to put a search together in this price range. I'd like to send it out to, for an update at least twice a week. And it will then do that and probably then say, hey, you haven't touched base with Denise for a while, you should give her a call based on my understanding of consumer behavior, she's probably ready to buy. So those will be kind of the things that we'll start to be able to recognize in terms of the AI. I was just trying out Zillow the other day, and now you can search using a phrase as opposed to actually doing a search through a traditional method. So you think about it from a consumer perspective, and I'm talking to the team about how we can use that in our search solution, where you can say, hey, I'm looking for a 2-bedroom, 2-bath home in this neighborhood, in this part of the city with these features. And with AI, they can look at photos, they can actually really figure out more of the stuff that the agent didn't originally put into the description and actually start to match up with properties that actually make more sense. So there's some really cool things from the consumer perspective and the agent perspective. I do think that though, if you go to 2033 versus 2023, that is a totally unpredictable world because the stuff that's coming is coming so fast.
Exponentially.
Exponentially. Like it'll be crazy what the AI can do from the consumer perspective and the agent perspective. I still think fundamentally the consumer is going to need somebody to open up the house and do that part, but even that could be somehow impacted through cameras and motion detectors and other things and vetting and a bunch of stuff. So there's there's going to be some shifts in the real estate industry in the next 10 years, and I have no clue as to what those will be 10 years from now. But I think the next two...
Are we still going to have a job 10 years from now?
Oh, we'll have a job.
Okay, cool.
Because we'll
Is
be
it real
working
estate?
for the AI.
Okay. We'll be working for the AI. Skynet. Okay, see you guys later.
But think about it, the more we lean into these technologies even today, the easier our life actually gets as real estate professionals. So, it actually, our lives will improve in unique and interesting ways. When you don't have to do the 2 hours of prospecting every day in order to keep a full pipeline of clients and clients that you like.
Who
and
hates
that like you.
prospecting? Oh, nobody want to put their hand up right now. Okay.
Yeah. Who likes rejection when people hang up on you on the phone? Okay. Same here.
Yeah. So we will have a job in 10 years. In fact, AI is going to make our business a lot easier. You don't even have to cold call anymore. Well, Glenn, thank you so much for sharing that. So, inspirational words for the crowd here, and inspirational words for realtors in general for 2023.
For 2023, the reality is this, you get paid to the extent that you actually work on yourself in this business, meaning are you actually getting into the right rooms? This is the right room. Are you consuming the right content? A lot of people talk about negative self-talk and how that pulls people down. I was fortunate enough when I was younger to listen to audio after audio, tape after tape, CD after CD, podcast after podcast, they're called podcasts. And I did that deliberately. And so I didn't really suffer as much from negative self-talk because I was getting so much positive feedback. And I think this is it's going to be a tougher year. We're going to see real estate sales as down in terms of number of transactions, 20% or so from 2022, which was down 20 to 30% from 2021. So we're definitely going to have a slower market. And that does mean that there are going to be people that are going to need to figure out what they're going to need to do to make income, because there's still a finite number of properties sold. But that doesn't have to affect any person in this room. If you decide, I'm 100% dedicated to this business called real estate, and I'm willing to do what it takes to both consume the right information, be around the right people, and you're willing to put the work in to actually get in front of consumers, there's no reason why this also couldn't be for each one of you the best year you've had in real estate. And so the market is the market. The reality is you can't, it's going to do whatever it's going to do, but you as an individual are not the market. You get to create the market for you, and you can have the best year you've ever had in real estate.
The market does not determine my production. The market determines what I need to do differently to get to the production level that I want. Thank you, Glenn, so much. We have some questions from the crowd as well.
All right, let's give another round of applause. Okay. So the first question we have here is, what are some new valuable benefits coming up this year for eXp Canada?
So a couple things. One, and this is a benefit that we actually developed initially starting in 2019 in the US, and that's over basically, we'll call it supplemental health benefits, insurance-like benefits for real estate professionals. And so we've been working with some of our agents on the Canadian Agent Advisory Council and other places to actually build effectively supplemental, we'll call it insurance. It's not insurance, it's health share. It's a 501c3 or nonprofit in the States. We're setting up in a similar way in Canada, but it will actually help sort of cover health things. So that's actually a big one. We get that a lot of questions around that, and we may be the first company, brokerage in Canada to provide something like that. So that's kind of cool. And for some, it's really cool. We bought Zoocasa last year in June, July. And of course, when, back in 2014, 2015, you couldn't turn on a radio station without hearing an ad for Zoocasa in Vancouver. And so we're helping them re-expand across Canada. And so there's going to be exclusive lead gen coming from that. We signed a deal back in February with a company called Realty.com in the States, but they also have Realty.ca. And it's basically a portal platform and to compete with, well now, Realtor.ca is going to actually be a lead gen platform, kind of like some of the other lead gen platforms that are out there. But we're exclusive, that's exclusive for us. So we're doing a lot of stuff on the lead gen side. We've got another cool thing we're going to talk about at shareholders in May, but you get a preview of it, and we're getting a patent on this, which is pretty cool, so it means that nobody else will be able to do it, but it's called mylinkmylead.com. So some of you may have heard of My Listing My Lead. This is My Link My Lead, and basically it's the first ever affiliate link for real estate agents to actually generate leads in both their local market for them, no cost for the local stuff, but anything that they can't service will actually go through a referral process internally, and they'll actually get referral-based income just by the spillover effect of promoting that link into social media, blog posts, and other places. So that's another really, really cool thing. So just my background prior to starting eXp was I was big on internet lead gen. So that I built my whole career around that, and I fundamentally, I have a religious commitment not to make a cold call ever again. So those of you who are smiler and dialers, I felt your pain, and I decided I didn't want to face that pain anymore. So everything I did was around inbound from about the mid 90s on. And so anything that you can do to actually create an inbound where you're talking to somebody who actually wants to talk to you, and you don't have to reach out to them first to try to talk them into talking to you, way better.
Yes, we all can completely agree with that, right? Yeah. Okay, next question is eXp going to have more AI tools for agents in Canada?
Like I was saying earlier, AI is a fad, it's going away.
Okay.
We're working on a number of pilots in the company. We've got at least 4 different pilots around AI. What I'd like to be able to do, and I think we're positioned really uniquely because we're one brokerage across Canada, one brokerage across the US, is that we can actually do things fundamentally different because we can actually get the economies of scale around using AI. So, talking about the example earlier, I could say, hey, AI, please write me a purchase agreement for this property at this address for this person with this down payment. Make sure you include an inspection and financing contingency. And then it does whatever it does and says, oh, by the way, do you want to include a well addendum because it's on a well? And so it will do all this stuff, and you'll just have a conversation with it. And so I think that's the type of things that we'll be working toward. I mean, it's contracts are pretty easy, at least in most markets. It's from a real estate agent's perspective, it's fill in a bunch of blanks and then have initial, and then you call it good. But it'd be nice if you didn't actually have to type all that stuff in. And so that, in my mind, is where AI is going to be a real benefit.
Amazing. And last question, with some new brokerages in the market with similar business plans as eXp, how are we going to differentiate eXp, for example, compared to Real?
Oh, well, it's an interesting, Real specifically, and I don't want to, it's hard for me not to sort of say things that are kind of, but the guy who started it never sold real estate. He was a real estate developer in New York and now lives in Israel, and he's the biggest shareholder of the company, at about 3% of the company. So he has no vested interest in kind of pointing at them, and he's been selling a bunch of his stock. So I think about the fact that I'm still, we still can control between our agents, brokers, founders, and everybody else in eXp over 70% of the company. And so that's a big deal. Like, we control our destiny. And I know exactly why we put everything into eXp that we put into eXp. For the most part, they've simply copied it without understanding why we did it. And so it's interesting. One, it's good, and I'll say this because it keeps us on our toes. When we don't have competition, then it doesn't force us to continue to improve the agent experience. So from that perspective, I'm glad we've got competitors. And if we weren't doing something interesting, then there would be no competitors. So I guess it's just something we just have to live with, it, where it's going to be more and more competitors. 22 competitors in the U.S. doing some version of the eXp model now.
Wow. All right, well, let's give Glenn a round of applause.